Welcome to Bergen County. I'm Cynthia Forster, the Director of the Division of Cultural and Historic Affairs, and we would like to welcome you to a series that we have just produced on suffrage. Suffrage is very, very important to all of us, and it certainly is important this year as we celebrate its anniversary. Please enjoy this series and visit all of these locations in Bergen County.
Good day. My name is Vivian Davis, and I'm here at one of Bergen County's historic treasures, the Wortendijk Barn in Park Ridge. This New World Dutch barn was built in 1770, with the Wortendijk family owning the property from 1735 to 1851. Throughout this time, many changes took place, from declaring freedom from Great Britain to soldiers marching on the Wortendijk property to a new country being born. Amongst these changes, I want to let you in on a little-known fact about New Jersey women. Did you know they had the right to vote as early as 1776? According to New Jersey's first constitution, written in 1776, voting rights were granted to all inhabitants of this colony of full age who are worth 50 pounds and have resided within the country for 12 months. Now, some may say that it was an oversight in wording. However, the New Jersey Constitution was changed in 1790 to say he or she, clarifying that both men and women had the right to vote. Due to the laws at the time, only single women could vote, as married women gave over their property to their husbands upon marrying. Despite that, many unmarried women could still vote. Unfortunately, in 1807, the Constitution was changed once again to limit voting to tax-paying white men. Due to pressure from political parties, and because there was a presidential election going on in 1808, this right was taken away from these petticoat electors. It wasn't until 1920 that this right was reinstated. We're here at this beautiful National Historic Landmark, the Hermitage in Hohokus. This Gothic Revival home was actually an addition built between 1847 and 1848 for the Rosencrantz family who lived on the property since 1807, the same year women in New Jersey lost their right to vote. At the same time as this 1840s addition was being put on the house, a landmark event was happening about 250 miles north of here in New York, in a little town called Seneca Falls. On July 19 to 20, 1848, what came to be known as the Seneca Falls Convention comprised of suffragists and abolitionists fighting for women's social and civil rights. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, one of the convention's organizers, opened that weekend with a speech of intention. She says, "We are assembled to protest against a form of government existing without the consent of the governed, to declare our right to be free as man is free, to be represented in the government which we are taxed to support, to have such disgraceful laws as give man the power to chastise and imprison his wife, to take the wages which she earns, the property which she inherits, and, in case of separation, the children of her love." Elizabeth Cady Stanton would make her mark on Bergen County 19 years later as she settles into her home in Tenafly. This is a very special place, the former home of Elizabeth Cady Stanton in Tenafly. Suffragist Elizabeth Cady Stanton, most well known for spearheading the women's rights movement, as well as founding the National Women's Suffrage Association, lived in the Second Empire-style home from 1868 to 1887. It was during this time that Stanton was most active as a women's rights activist. The money she earned from her speeches and writings helped maintain the house and property. It was here that Stanton wrote the Women's Declaration of Rights, which guided the movement forward. Another well-known suffragist and friend of Stanton's, Susan B. Anthony, frequently visited here. She collaborated with Stanton in writing a multi-volume history of women's rights and launched a suffrage newspaper called Revolution. From this house, which is now a National Historic Landmark, that they traveled by coach down the hill to the Valley Hotel in Tenafly, where Elizabeth tried to vote but was turned away. She was promptly turned away because she was a woman, but not before she argued that the 14th Amendment gave equal protection of laws to all citizens. While unsuccessful in voting, Stanton continued to advocate tirelessly for women's rights. She died in 1902 at age 86, 18 years before the women's right to vote was ratified by Congress. Today we are at the beautiful Palisades Interstate Park, home of the Women's Federation Monument. This trailside monument was built and dedicated in 1929 to honor the Federation of Women's Clubs, which worked to help preserve this park. Due to the unyielding efforts from Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and thousands of women's rights activists. On August 18, 1920, Congress ratified the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. It was because of this milestone that women now had their voice. As the 20th and 21st centuries have proven, women have continued to help create legislation that would help not only women's rights, but also human rights. While much has been accomplished, there is still work to be done. Let us not forget these pioneers as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of women's rights this year. We could have not made this educational series available to you without the help of County Executive James Tedesco, the Bergen County Division of Cultural and Historic Affairs, the Friends of the Hermitage, Emily Yang of Tenafly, and the Palisades Interstate Park Commission. Thank you.